Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Hey. Hi, good morning. My name is Beth Hunsaker. I am the Assistant Director of the Financial Wellness Center. We're so excited to be here to talk about some things to think about as you're finishing up and launching into the world after all of your hard work through grad school. So we're very happy to have you here. Any questions that you have, just feel free to put them in the chat or ask. Um, Anything that I can do to help. And then I'll also talk about ways to connect with our office after, because you have access to us while you're here and even after. So welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, you should be seeing my finance and you. Is that what everybody sees? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is what I'm here to talk about, is your finances and you. One of my favorite questions to ask students is, why are you here? Why are you in school? Why did you take this huge investment of your money, of your time? We talk about opportunity costs. Because you're not here, you're not doing something else. And I love asking that question because I'll get some answers at first that are like, well, I want to give back to my community. I want to get a job. But really what it comes down to, and I finally get them to admit, is you come to college to make more money. You want to have a higher earning potential. That may not be the entire part of it, but that's a huge part for most people. And so one of the things we need to think about is it's not just having a higher income, it's knowing what to do with that income and how to make it work for you. Because if you really think about it, it's not really about the money, but it's what the money can do for you. It's the resource. It's how that money can enhance your life. Are you using that money to create a good home for you and your family? Are you using that money to live a lifestyle that you enjoy? Like getting to travel, getting to see the world. So there's all these options that money opens the door for us. And so it's okay to say we want more money, but it's also important to know how to use that money wisely. So that's where the Financial Wellness Center comes in. Financial Wellness Center was created in the 2010s, teens, 20 teens, as a way to enhance the financial well-being of the University of Utah community. So our mission is we want to provide evidence-based tools and resources for lifelong financial success. As much as we love having you here at the U and your time here, our commitment to you doesn't end when you graduate. We want to continue, and you can see it in what the U does. Our alumni network is incredible. And if you haven't already joined Forever Utah, I highly recommend you do. It's an amazing network of students and alumni, and we have amazing alumni who are dedicated to giving back and helping students achieve their dreams. So if I can make one little plug for them, that's something that I recommend you doing, Forever Utah Network. So we want you to be successful while you're here, but also your entire life. And as you're finishing up grad school, it's important to start thinking about these financial skills. And unfortunately, we don't always learn these, that we don't always take the classes. There are a few, but you kind of have to look for them. But we don't get this knowledge of how our retirement benefits work. We don't understand how to create and maintain a workable budget. But here at Financial Wellness Centers, we want to provide that information. We want to help you get to those goals that you want. So we really want students to understand that personal finance is a huge part of your overall well-being. When you think about a life balance, when you think about all of these things you want, you cannot ignore the role that finances play in having that balanced life. So today what we're going to talk about is a little bit of your money and emotions, some things that you can do to improve your finances. Sometimes we like to say, oh, when I graduate, I'll deal with that. I'll start budgeting then. Oh, I'll start saving when I'm ready to buy a house. But research shows that the sooner you can create these financial habits, the more successful you're going to be. And it's not always about the dollar amount, but it's something about that consistency and showing yourself you're able to do it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And finally, we're going to end with some resources and some options for you to help you get to those goals. So I mentioned that finances is an important part of your overall well-being. When people come and talk to us at the Financial Wellness Center, there's some hesitation. There's a little bit of trepidation. I don't want to say fear, but trepidation of like, you're going to get after me because I DoorDash a few times a week. Or you're going to tell me I can't buy coffee. That is not true. Okay. It's not about trying to be perfect in our finances, but it's about creating a balance and a well-being. So if you look at this wellness wheel, and this is provided from our student wellness organization here, another great resource. You have to have these all in balance, and there are going to be times when you have to put more maybe into your physical health. The weather just changed and the time change just happened, and that just kind of brings me down. There's sunshine right now. It's wonderful. I'm in front of my window with some sunshine, but I sometimes need a little bit of extra pampering, a little bit of care. And so if I go out to dinner one extra night to just help boost me to get me through, that's okay. That's not saying I'm not being wise financially. It's just understanding that there are different parts of me and that I need to take care of all of them. But that being said, that doesn't mean you can always do that, because if you're always treating yourself, if you're always going shopping to boost your mood or to celebrate, then your financial health is going to go down and then you're going to be out of whack. So it is just kind of about this balance. So when students come in, when students talk to us, we don't start just by talking about numbers and saying, how much do you spend here? How often do you get coffee? We start by understanding their values and their goals. And for my example of this is I adore traveling. It is huge on my priority list. And I have a travel budget that I set aside every month that I'm socking it away, getting ready for my next trip. I sign up for their credit card rewards points. We can talk about that. That's a different conversation. But I saved them up for 2 years and I was able to go to Italy. Like this is so important to me. But what I understand is that if I put that high on my priority list, other things have to get knocked down. If you ever see me rolling into campus in my big old mom car that's a decade old now, I'm okay to give up having a nice car. I've got kids, they're just going to trash it anyway. I'm okay to do that because I understand that, yeah, my car's not super nice, but I have this extra money for traveling. So I will never tell a student, don't get a nice car. If that's your goal, if that's something you enjoy, wonderful. You can make that a priority, but you just can't make everything a priority. There's kind of a saying like, if everything is special, nothing is special. So you really have to decide what that is. And so that's one of the things we do when we first meet with students is we want to know why you're here. We want to know what financial wellness means to you. And so that's kind of our starting point. And then we work with students to help understand those goals and find ways to reach those goals. So don't ever be afraid that we're going to tell you you can't ever buy coffee or go out to eat. I promise you, we've never said that, and we never will. Okay. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has this financial well-being scale. And because we don't have a lot of time today, let's just kind of skip it, but I'll put it in the chat that you can take this scale. And what is so interesting about this is they want to know how consumers are doing financially. And not one question asks about the numbers, because it's not about the numbers. It's how you perceive your situation, how you feel about your finances. And for every single person, it's going to be different. So if they said, do you have $1,000 in a savings account? $1,000 to a college student is going to be something very different from someone who's close to retirement. So this college student's like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky, I've got $1,000 in the bank. But someone close to retirement is like, oh my goodness, I only have $1,000 and I want to retire. And so although the numbers are the exact same, because of their different situations, it's going to have a different feeling. And I love this because we get to define what our goals are and what's important to us. So really what this financial well-being scale is measuring is financial security and your financial freedom of choice. That's what we want people to be able to achieve. That's how we know people are doing well financially, financial well-being, right? So financial security is just knowing that you have control over your day-to-day finances. You know that your bills are going to be paid. You know that the lights are going to stay on. You know that food's going to be on the table. Okay? There's a security in that. Also that you can absorb a financial shock. If something happens, we're coming into the holiday season where we're going to start having colds and people are missing work. If you miss work for a week because you're sick, are you going to be okay? Are you going to have the resources, whether that's money saved, whether that's sick days at work you can use, whether that's family you can rely on to help out in a rough time? Do you have that? Because that provides that security and that well-being. Once we've kind of had that security, we want to move kind of up this scale in life to having a freedom of choice. We want to know that we're on track to meet our financial goals, that the steps we're taking today are bringing us closer to whatever it is we want, and that we also have a freedom to make choices today that can allow us to enjoy life, that we're not just living hand to mouth wondering, like I said, how am I going to feed my family this month? We want to have some of that control and we want to enjoy life. I could sit here and give you a bare bones budget and say, no subscriptions, no going out to eat, and you'd be saving all this money and you can bank it for the future. But that's not a fun life. That's not why we're here. It's okay to enjoy some of your money. I had a student I met with who qualified for student loan forgiveness. And she had made payments during COVID. Well, you didn't have to, but she wanted to get ahead. And what they're allowing her to do is get a refund of those payments. So she is getting actual money back that she wasn't planning on. She was talking about what she wanted to do with it, and she got this kind of that sheepish look of like, well, I'm graduating and I'd really like to go on a trip with some of this money. And I was like, that is such a good idea. And she had this relief that like it was going to be okay, that she used some of that to enjoy life. But that's why we do this, is we do want to enjoy our day-to-day life while also building for the future. So that's what that financial well-being is going to measure, some of that security, and then also that next stage of freedom of choice, meeting your goals. When the scale first came out, we kind of did a little focus group. It was just our office staff, but it was some good perspectives. And we were asking people, if you were to say what financial well-being is, what's your definition? How do you know you have that financial well-being? And we heard all sorts of things: having enough food to eat, being able to take a more flexible work arrangement. That one was mine. I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I'm working from home today. I'm so lucky and happy that this job, I'm able to have some of that flexibility, that I can work from home from time to time when I have something come up with my family. That feels really good. And it's that balance of life. I'm enjoying life now while still building my future. Just being able to reach those financial goals, having a safe place for your children, a secure and safe place for your children to live, being able to invest for retirement. So for every person, it's going to be different. And there's really no right or wrong. It's just finding what it means for you. So when we measure and look at financial well-being, there's a lot of things that are going to influence your financial well-being. One of them is happening to us right now with having problems in our economy, with interest rates going up, with really high inflation. And here in the Western United States, where most of us are, that's where it's getting hit the hardest, is the Western United States. Utah is one of the highest inflation rates. That's something that's out of our control. Some of the things are in our control. And I do want to say that we do need to look at bigger picture things. We just had elections close. It's important to be involved with some of those bigger things and some systemic change. One of the things that we offer, and it's coming up in December, if you're interested, is a salary negotiation workshop. The gender wage gap persists even today. The difference between men and women and the racial gap as well is quite large. And we can learn and we can negotiate and help improve ourselves, but we also want to be involved in changing the system that's making that happen to begin with. So we kind of walk this balance. It's not our fault it's happening, but we still need to try and do the best we can with what we're given. So we kind of have to walk that line, but it is important for us to take responsibility and control of what we can control. So some of the things that are in our control, your income and employer, and you're working on that right now. You're finishing grad school, enjoying grad school, that kind of thing. That is increasing your prospects, increasing your financial well-being, investing in that way. And some other things that we can control is having savings and safety nets. We'll talk about emergency funds in a minute. It's not the funnest topic. Nobody wants to talk about what will I do if something happens? What will I do if I lose my job? What will I do if I have a medical crisis? What will I do if I lose my partner who we rely on financially? Making sure we have those safety nets is really important. The biggest one we're going to focus on today is that financial behavior, skills, and attitudes. All of these things are very, very important. What are those things that we're doing? What are those skills we've learned? And I think what is even harder is once you know it, actually doing it. We all know how to take care of our bodies, eat well, exercise, get enough sleep. Actually doing it, that's another conversation, right? Same with finances. We know these, we have these ideas and they're kind of like, I should be doing these things. How come I'm not? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then just having some of these attitudes. What are your beliefs? What are your attitudes towards money? So I've got a little quiz. We have enough time. I do want to do this one. So I'm going to show you these statements and it's going to have a letter by them. So grab out a scrap paper and do A through F, A, B, C, D, E, F. And this is Kardashian edition. Each of these is going to give you a Kardashian that's going to tell you your money personality. So every time you read one, if that applies to you, it's going to have a letter at the end of it. I want you to mark, just kind of make tally marks. If it's A, mark A and on. I have 3 slides that have these written down. So it'll take a couple minutes. So I'll go on that first one. So start reading through these on your own and mark which ones apply to you. All right, 1 minute warning, and I'm going to go to the next one. I like the question on if you got the 10 million. I think somebody got the Powerball, right? Did someone's number get drawn? I think it was over 2 billion. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. There's this one and then one more. Oh. Okay. Did I? Sorry, I did. Sorry. Okay, this is the one. Sorry. All right, 1 minute warning on this one. Okay, last slide. All right, so I want you to look at those and see which one has the most. And you might actually have two that are pretty close together. That's pretty common. I don't know anyone that would only be one. You're going to be kind of a mix of these. We might have a favorite Kardashian, but I don't want you to stress about who you got or who you didn't get. I don't do this to put people down or to compare and say this one's better than this one. There are good things and then there are challenges about each of these personalities. And it's not for us to, especially on ourselves, say, oh, what's wrong with me? I got this one. What we want to do with this and say, this is interesting information about me. What can I do to enhance those good things about it? And what can I do to address those challenges? So I want you to take it in that way and not think that there's good or bad ones, but just learning more about yourself. I always say it's important to lean in to what we know about ourselves. I am somebody who is kind of black and white. And so for me, what works is kind of like making rules for myself. Once I learned that about myself, instead of saying, oh my gosh, why can't you just lighten up? Why can't you let loose a little bit? Instead of looking at it that way, it's like, no, I can let loose, but I have to plan it. I have to think about it. And I enjoy it so much more. And so let's learn a little bit about ourselves. So if you got most of the A's, you are Courtney, the saver. You take pride in saving rather than spending. You enjoy watching your savings grow. You'd rather not buy something than risk paying too much for it. You frequently choose less over more. You can spend money. but you get so much more satisfaction from having money left over. So there's some really good qualities about being a saver, right? Like you save money, but a few issues that could come up and could be that challenge for you is that you might find it hard to treat yourself or even spend on essential items. You may have trouble being generous to others, and you could miss out on valuable opportunities and experiences. That inclination to always say no could take away some of that life enjoyment that we want our financial well-being to do for us. So that's A. B is a spender, and that's Kim. You don't agonize over spending money. You love to give gifts. You spend money as soon as it's available. You have a live for today attitude. You tend to see a deal in every transaction. You know a good deal when you see it. Your spare cash goes to things that give pleasure to you and those you care about. So again, there's some really good things about being a spender. You are enjoying life. You are open to opportunities. You love to feel good and have the people around you feel good. Again, that's not a negative thing. That's a good thing. However, some challenges, some issues that could come with that would be that you might have trouble saving and controlling your debt. You may put too much emphasis on status, and your self-worth could depend too much on material things. So just some things to check in there. C's is Chloe, the security seeker. You like to play it safe. Before spending money, you need to feel like you have explored all of the options. You don't like to borrow or lend money, and you spend money but get more satisfaction from adding to your savings. This is similar to the saver, but there's a little bit of a different aspect to it, and it's a lot of fear and risk aversion. And I have to be honest, this is me. And I think a lot of it is because I am a single parent, and it's all on me. It's me taking care of these kids and making sure they have enough food, and teen boys eat a lot and they go through pants and shoes really fast too. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And there are some good things about it. I do feel safe and secure. I have a very healthy emergency fund that this spurred for me. However, there are issues that come up with it. You may overthink things. I'm a little personally attacked when I read that one. You may have difficulty seizing opportunities or being spontaneous, and you may become overly focused on yourself. I definitely feel this and know this. When I had to refinance my house on my own, it was very difficult to start over with a 30-year mortgage. It was very hard for me because I want to be debt free, and I had been working towards it, and I feel like I was kind of starting over, losing ground. And thank goodness I did it a while ago, and I got a very good interest rate, a very cheap interest rate. And this is my job. I talk money all the time and paying off debt and all these things. And I'm looking at the numbers, and I was like, I could pay it off. I could pay extra every month, a couple $100s every month. I could pay it off in half the time, which sounded really great. It's that security seeking. But if I took that amount and invested it for the long term, I would come out farther ahead. The interest rate I was paying and my potential interest rate of investing was so different. And my mortgage is very affordable. I can make the payments, so it wasn't a risk of me not being able to make the payments. But I ran the numbers, and I looked and I looked and I looked, and I still just couldn't pull the trigger. I still couldn't do it, of investing instead of paying it off. So I called in reinforcements. I called in my brother, who he gives it to me straight. And he was like, "You're doing this." That was a couple years ago. And although the markets have come down, and I'm not stressing about that, but I've been able to really grow these other options while still making my mortgage payments, still being fine. So that was me. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you do this on your own?" I was like, no, you are that security seeker. You need someone you trust who's going to sit there with you and make sure you do it. So I was very proud of myself that I recognized that. And I called in my brother, who always, I'm his baby sister. He's not going to go easy on me. So think about that. That's just kind of that personal application of how this works. You got mostly D's. You are Caitlin, the risk taker. She tends to have that all or nothing mentality. You tend to see a deal in every transaction. You love to negotiate, even if it's not the most appropriate time to. You think a big potential payoff makes a calculated risk worthwhile, and you'd rather invest than save money. This is where the risk taker really differs from the saver. The difference between saving and investing is huge. There is definitely a time and place for both, but they're not the same thing. They're not interchangeable. Saving is just not spending your money today and having it for the future. Investing is hoping that money will grow. And a really good example of this is a student we had, and this was a really tough story, but a good lesson, I think. This was about last summer. This student got all of their scholarship money for the year, and they paid their fall tuition, and they had this big chunk left over that needed to go and pay for spring. And they didn't like the idea of it just sitting in a savings account. They're like, oh, I've got 6 months. I should invest it. I should grow it. And he had been hearing about cryptocurrencies. And he took that amount and he invested it. Well, what happened with cryptocurrency was a giant crash, even worse than what we've seen with stock market lately. And that money was gone, mostly gone. There wasn't much left, what he needed. And he came to us, he's like, I got to pay spring semester. What am I going to do? And we helped him get it figured out. He had to take out some loans, which was unfortunate because he had that scholarship money. But his risk taking has a place, but that wasn't the time and place to take such a big risk. And so to me, that's just kind of that lesson of like, I'm not ever going to tell you not to invest, but there's a time and a place for it. And your scholarship money, your tuition money is not the place for it. Some of those issues that could come up with that is that you might need help setting limits when it comes to financial transactions. You might become impatient and gloss over risks. You kind of just see that potential payout, and you don't look at that worst case scenario, and you might end up losing money, as this student did. There's a place for it. I've taken some risks with my investing, with retirement savings. I'm not going to retire for quite a while, so I'm a little riskier there. But my emergency fund that I need available, I am not risky. It's just sitting in a bank account earning not a lot of interest, but it's not nothing. But that to me, nope, that's that security. So it's kind of weighing those options. Hey, if you got mostly E's, you're Chris the giver. You focus on and enjoy helping others. You are generous with your own time and money. You feel responsible for others' well-being, and putting yourself first is hard to do. Again, that's a wonderful thing. You want to take care of people. You're generous with yourself. However, you might have a hard time saying no when you need to, and you might ignore your own self-interest. So we want to balance that. We want to weigh that. The last one is F. If you got mostly F's, you're Kylie the flyer. Money matters are of no interest to you. You love to explore and have new experiences. You are generous with your time and your money. Planning ahead really seems like a drag. This is somebody who we love to be around because they think so big and they dream so big, and you just feel so good around them. They have really good energies. But some of those details just don't matter to them. They just figure it will all work out. I don't want to think about it. This lack of planning could cause problems. You may be too quick to give control over your money to others who do not act in your best interest, and you may end up living beyond your means. So I hope that you kind of enjoy that. If anybody wants to share which one they got and like how they feel about it, you don't have to. But any thoughts or anything on that one?
I love this quiz. I think it was interesting, especially like knowing the Kardashians. I think it's kind of funny, but mine was Chris, the giver, and it's super true. But I also had like the saver and security seeker like close behind. And so I think like I've been trying to have that balance more of instead of just like giving away all my money, just trying to save some of it and have a secure financial future. And so it's interesting to see it like laid out like that.
Good. Thanks, Sabrina. Anybody else? Anybody get flyer? I have not had anybody get flyer, and I've done this with like 100 students. I just always have to ask. I'm always curious about it. Maybe flyers don't want to go to college. Maybe that's too much planning. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I do think that there are things that we can learn from each and every one of these. And I will tell you that I had a student who took this a while ago, and they ended up being in another presentation and they took it again. And because of some of the work that we've done, and they've been coming into our office, they used to be more of a spender and their answers have now changed more to a saver. I just thought that was so interesting. So this is not like a static thing. Something that you can, if it's something you want to grow and change, you definitely can. Kind of like what you were saying, Sabrina. So thank you. Okay, so as a saver, if you're a saver, just remember that money is not the means to the end. It's not the end itself. What does that money give you? And just not spending isn't really growing it. Is it fitting in towards your goals? If you're a spender, saving and giving can feel just as good as spending. Keep that in mind. If you're a security seeker, open up, take some risks. Doing well means doing good for me and my community. If you're the risk taker, slow down. We need these two to like balance each other out. Slow down. Take time to assess those things that could go wrong before you dive in. If you're a giver, make sure you take care of yourself. And then you can help serve others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Put your oxygen mask on first. We've heard all of these things. It's important to keep remembering those. If you're a flyer, just remember that taking good care of my money allows me to do what I want. A lot of times people think budgets are restrictive and it's going to be saying no, no, no all the time. That's not how it is. It's you fitting in your priorities, making sure you have the money for those priorities. It's just creating that plan. Okay, thank you. Thanks for doing that and participating. Some things that I want to hit on that are really important as you finish your time at the U. If you've got grad school, maybe for a few years, and even if you're not getting ready to graduate right now, there are definitely things that you can do every single day to enhance your future financial self. We're not able to do everything. But there are some things we can do. So even if you're like, well, I should save for retirement, but I just really can't right now, that's okay. We'll talk about what you can do to help you get there. And then when you graduate, when you start getting those retirement benefits from your work, you'll know what that means. You'll know how to save up. You'll know how to enroll in the program and get that match that your employer gives you. So the things that I want to talk about are having an emergency fund, having the confidence in your ability to achieve your goals, have a habit of saving, effective day-to-day money management, thinking about your planning horizon, and increasing your financial knowledge and skill. So an emergency fund is the most boring topic, and it's so important. I love talking about it because it's important, but like in reality, it's not fun. But the end goal is a good thing. So the way we look at an emergency fund is you look at your bare bones essentials, and you need 3 to 6 months of those. So this is not what you're spending every month, but if you just needed to stay alive, comes to your housing, your transportation, your health care, your food, and that's not eating out. Like what could you buy at the grocery store? What could you live on just at the grocery store? And then minimum payments on all of your debts. So even if you're paying more than the minimum, we just want to know the minimum. We need 3 to 6 months of that. Now, as a college student, that can be really difficult, especially if you don't have an income. College students, depending on their situation, may not need as much. If, let's say you live at home and your parents charge you rent, if something were to happen, could they waive your rent for a month if you lost your job and you need a new one? Maybe. So maybe you don't quite need as much. But if you're on your own, you're going to need that. Single earners, I'm a single earner household, I have 6 months because it is just me. If you're a dual income or you have multiple streams of income, you might not need a full 6 months. Maybe you just need 3. It's really important for you to come up with and crunch your own number. If you want help with this, Financial Wellness Center, we do this all the time. We help students come up with their number, what they're comfortable with. Keep in mind, what is an emergency? Emergency is like a car repair, home repair. If your furnace goes out in the middle of winter, yes, that is an emergency. You've got to keep your heat on. If you have a medical bill, a loss of income. Notice that this is not like a really good travel sale and you buy cheap airline tickets. That doesn't count as an emergency. Some things to do to get there. Sometimes when our clients see that number, it might be thousands of dollars and it's very, very daunting. That's okay. It's a process. Start small. So set smaller, more attainable goals. Make it automatic. You know what days you get paid. In this day and age, there are automatic everything. And that's one of the very best things I've ever seen in personal finance. If I had to write a check, and I bet you don't even know how to write a check, but if I had to write a check and find the stamps and mail it in or get to the bank, half the time I wouldn't save or invest. And so making it automatic. So if you get paid twice a month, the day you get paid, set up a transfer straight to savings. It'll be gone before you see it. You might not even miss it. Another thing that I want you to do is to create friction. When we want to have a good habit, we reduce friction. So if we want to exercise in the morning, we set out our workout clothes and our shoes right by our bed so we can just wake up and pull them on. If we want to eat healthy, we meal prep, right? You make it easier. Here, I want you to make it harder. So in your app, you have your checking and your savings, and you can just transfer them automatically back and forth, right? Instantly. Your emergency fund, you're going to put it in a different bank. You're going to put it in an online bank. They are federally insured, perfectly safe. They're online, so they don't have a branch. You can't drive to it. It's still connected to your bank account. You transfer it back and forth from your main bank account, but it's going to take a day or two. So it's not instant. So if you're out with your friends and you want to buy around, well, and you don't have it, you can't just automatically transfer it. It really does help you save and keep that money. Another benefit of that is right now, the high yield savings accounts at banks are paying 2 to 3% interest instead of what you're getting at your regular bank, which is 0.01% or 0.05%. So you'll get a little bit of interest. To be honest, what I do is my emergency fund is fully funded. It's in this bank over here. I don't ever look at it unless I need it. And thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't needed it for a while. But every year I take the interest out and I buy myself something that I really want. And it's not very much because it's only 2 or 3%. But it's like my atta girl for like, look at you, you kept your money and you didn't spend it. So I do take that little bit of interest and splurge. So,
I have just a quick question. Are there any high yield savings accounts or banks that you would recommend, or is there a way to find good places to?
Yes, thank you for asking. Bankrate and NerdWallet are really good at comparing them. 2 things to look for: FDIC insured, so that if the bank goes under, your money's safe. I'll tell you, Venmo's not insured. I don't like people keeping a Venmo account. If something were to happen to Venmo, your money's gone. And then the second thing is no fees. Do not ever pay fees. There's so many good options. Right now, SoFi has been doing an online checking and savings combo. And if you put direct deposit for, I think it's 2 or 3 months, they are going to give you $300 just for doing it. It's really cool. So that's one of the best ones right now. SoFi, Ally is really good, really highly rated. But if you check the current rates at NerdWallet and Bankrate, they'll tell you what the rates are and what the sign-on bonuses are right now. Thanks for asking that. And that's something we help people with all the time at Financial Wellness Center. Like, I will help you set it up if you make an appointment with me. Also, don't oversave on your emergency fund. Get that number. Once you hit that number, you don't need to keep saving in that. You can work on other goals. Remember, we don't want to be that fear-based, like we talked about with the savers and the security seekers, like enough, but then start working on that next level of goals. Building your confidence in your financial decisions. I have a hint for you. You're already doing it. You've taken the risk, you've taken this investment to go to grad school. So you already know you can do these things. So keep building on that. Sometimes we get caught up with where we're not and we compare to people. And well, I don't have a house yet. I don't have this yet. It's all a process. It's all steps. You've taken this step to be here at college. Do the next right thing. Is that starting a savings habit? Is that opening a retirement account? Think about what's that next step that's going to get you where you want to be. Don't think about that whole giant thing you have to do. But it is important to think long-term and always asking yourself, is this choice bringing me closer to that value? And trying to align your resources with where you want to be. So building that confidence is really important. Very important to get into a habit of saving. This is where I see a lot of issues with our students. So I've been with Financial Wellness Center since earlier in 2022, but I have been an instructor at University of Utah since 2005. So I've had a lot of students come through. I teach a personal finance class in family consumer studies. It's an amazing class. And I get a peek into students' finances. That's the class. And I hear this every semester. I'm a student. I can't save. I have to wait. When I graduate, I will. And I cannot emphasize to you how important it is to get into a savings habit the younger you are. It gets harder as your life gets more complex because there's going to be other things. If you have a family, you'll be shocked at how much it can just find ways to escape all these things that come up. Get in the habit. I do not care if it's $10 a week. I don't care. Okay. You can find $10 a week. I promise you. Put that in a jar, put it in a bank transfer, find a way to save it. Pay yourself first. You get paid, you get a little bit of money. All I'm asking is you don't spend it all. What this will do, it's going to go back to that confidence building. It's not about that $10. $10 is not a lot, but you're going to see how that consistent step can actually amount to something. And once you do 10, you know what? This isn't so bad. I'm going to try 15. I'm going to try 20. And as your income goes up, that amount you save is going to go up. So you've got to really get started on that. If you take anything from this, please find a way to start saving money. Pay yourself first. Look at when your money comes in and immediately pay yourself. You can put it in that high yield savings. You can put it in a jar, whatever works for you. I do like using technology, automatic transfers, automatic withdrawals. There's some apps that will round up your purchases. Find the one that you like and works for you. One way to find that habit of savings is to really distinguish between your wants and your needs. I remember teaching, this is how long I've been teaching, when I would be like, a cell phone, this is a want, not a need. No, you have to have a mobile phone now. But do you need the newest one every time it comes out? Do you see that difference? You've got to make that distinction. Is this a want or a need? Not to say that you can never have a want, but sometimes focusing just on those needs can really help you meet some of those goals. It is really important to get day-to-day money management. To me, budgets are like a diet. What's the best one? The one that works for you. find one that you like and stick to. We have amazing resources at Financial Wellness Center for budgets, because that's our #1 thing students come in and talk to us about. So check out our website, make an appointment, but find where your money's going. Think about the money you have coming in, think about your savings, and then your spending. Keep really good records with apps and online banking and things. Just sign up for that. I signed up for texts for my credit card so that if my credit card gets charged, I see it, just to kind of help with fraud. But what I realized is I don't like getting that text that I'm spending money. And so I've actually said no to things. I was like, I didn't even think that that could work, but it was like, they're like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you spending this money? So I don't know, maybe that'll help control my spending. I should like compare those months that I turned it on. So that's where that observing yourself to help keep you on track. We recommend doing money check-ins maybe once a week, where you look at where you spent your money last week. Are you on track to stay on budget for the month? So incorporating that into your life, don't look at it as a negative thing, as a punishment, but more just an awareness, and that you're taking care of yourself. Just make sure you're thinking about your time horizon, short-term, mid-term, long-term. It's really important that you weigh your present self and your future self. Sometimes your present self's going to win. Sometimes your future self's going to win. Coming to college, you're paying a lot in the present to get a lot in the future. But sometimes you're going to take a little bit away from your future to be happy right now. Just keep weighing those. Don't always say yes in the present, and don't always postpone for the future. Last one, because I'm just about out of time, just keep increasing your financial knowledge and skill. We are not born knowing how to run our finances. It's not inherent knowledge. We have to learn it. We had a credit card workshop yesterday that was amazing. It's going to be on our website. And I learned new things. I learned a little bit more about how some of the credit scores work. I didn't know how many there were. And I teach this. This is what I've been doing for 20 years. So I'm still learning, and there's nothing wrong with that. Keep learning. Just make sure it's high quality. I do like how social media is spreading financial knowledge, but not all of it is true. So verify before you go all in. So if you hear like this cool side hustle and they're like, give me money and I'll tell you how to do a side hustle, maybe not, but research it, verify it, and keep learning. Okay, I said that was the last one, but I lied. Credit's important. You need it for more than just getting more credit. If you want to learn more, come see us. We can pull your credit report with you, go over it with you, talk about ways to increase it. Okay, good resources. Oh, that was our workshop yesterday. It will be on our website. We are in the Union Room 317. We do in person. You can do it with me, our director, and then we also have students who will meet with you one-on-one, virtual or in person, whichever you prefer. So that's our website if you use that QR code. We do have coming up a budget challenge that's really fun. 5 weeks, we give you these things to do. We started one just in October, and it's just finishing up. It's been really cool to see how these students have done. We're going to do one spring semester. So if you're interested, let me know. If you want to learn more about investing, we are starting an investing club that will be led by students, that you'll come to it, and we're going to meet 3 times, and by the end you will be investing. So we're really excited about that as well. Some things that we do: meet with us one-on-one, come to our workshops. There are classes that you can take. And if I told you that if one starts saving, a second thing, we will do your taxes for free. So don't ever pay people to do your taxes when you're in college. We'll do them for free. So watch for that in the spring. We're gearing up for that. And just really thank you for your time. And if you will do this presentation evaluation, we'll gather your emails and I can send you the resources and things that I talked about today. and also put you on our mailing list if you would like for our upcoming workshops and events. So I'll leave that up for a second, but are there any questions or anything before we finish up? I can't see the chat, but if any are there, will you let me know, Sabrina?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any in the chat. Which you guys, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Thanks so much, Beth, for doing this presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Financial Wellness Center, I know, offers some really phenomenal resources for students. So definitely, if you guys need any assistance or just have any questions, like they're a great resource to reach out to.
Thank you, Sabrina. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't know how to stop share. There we go. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.